Okay, so I'm not going to do some huge introduction because if you're watching this video, I know you want me to just get right into it, so I'm going to, but I want to say one thing really quickly. As of the time that I'm doing this video, which is around 9 a.m. on Saturday, that specific time, James has lost over 1 million subscribers in less than 24 hours. And it looks like Tati is going to hit 1 million new subscribers probably within the next hour or so. So that just gives you a reference point for where I'm actually tapping into this energy. Because I think that this is going to take a lot more twists and turns before it starts to even slow down at all. I think the next couple of days, especially Monday and Tuesday, there's going to be more activity around this. It was interesting when I was doing the pre-shuffle before actually doing turning on the camera to record the video. I was just sort of shuffling the cards and a few cards fell out, and the two cards that I remember falling out together, they came right out together. It was the Queen of Pentacles upright with the Magician card upright. And I feel like that's totally just 100% Tati's energy right now. So like, I'm sure some people are going to watch this and know nothing about tarot, that are just sort of into the James and Tati thing. So I'll explain this a little bit more. So the Queen of Pentacles is like this very nurturing, hardworking, really supportive, almost like a dream mom. It's the feminine energy that's very, just everything you can think about like a mother figure. This is what that queen would be. Now the Magician card, this just talks to, manifesting things, having like a resourcefulness. There's, there is sort of like an inspired action or like inspired thinking with this card as well. But for me, this card is also one of the cards that indicates to me someone having power. So I feel like, the cards are already sort of like starting to connect into the energy, which is always cool when that happens, because then you know what you're going to get out once you actually do the reading is going to actually be within that energy. Okay, so I'm going to do this spread here. I don't know if you will be able to see all the cards, but I'll sort of walk through. I just want to tell you what's what. So on this left-hand side here, these 3 cards, these are going to pertain to Tati. These will be for James. And then these 2 cards are connected to both. Here's what I'll do. I will... I'll sort of go back and forth between the 2 of them as I go through the cards. I think that'll be, the easiest way to do it. But these cards here, these 2 that I'm touching, these just really represent the current energy or like emotional state, sort of a look into what Tati and James are like right now as I'm doing this reading. So for Tati, we have the 2 of Cups coming out upright. And for James, we have the 6 of Pentacles reversed. So let me just sort of talk about, I'll talk about Tati first, because this card is pretty straightforward. Now, in a love reading, if I was doing a reading for like a couple, then this card would represent like a really well-matched relationship. And for a lot of tarot readers, this card also can represent the notion of soulmates or twin flames, okay? Outside of that context, it can represent a partnership, just a really close love between 2 people, a mutual like pull towards one another. I think for Tati, where she's at right now is just she's reflecting on, she's still trying to process out her feelings, and she's thinking about how for her this connection with James felt very deep for her, and it felt like it had a purpose and a meaning. I feel like Tati felt that she was put into his life to try to help guide him and almost like make up for the fact that he didn't have, how do I want to say this? From her perspective, what I'm getting is that she didn't feel that he had adult influences around him that were capable of helping him the way he needed to be helped. And I think part of that was the financial aspect of things, but beyond that, it was sort of like it's almost like she felt like she needed to parent him because he wasn't being parented. And I don't really know anything about like his parents, other than sort of what Tati said in her video. But I think she's still very much in this space energetically. I think even, seeing the fact that he's losing followers, I think she's genuinely worried and concerned for him. She gets no like happiness from seeing what's happening, but she also knows that this is something that he has to experience. And I think that she still is holding out hope that maybe this will be the thing that turns him around and helps him to grow up. Okay. So the card that came out for James on his side was the Six of Pentacles reversed. Now, this card is interesting coming out as sort of where he's at now. I feel like for James, I think he is honestly trying to figure out, I think number one, sort of like how to just take care of himself right now, how to, he has things he has to do, and he has to sort of try to not only just keep momentum going, but almost like fight against the current. And so he's trying to figure out right now how to make sure that he can do that. And I think he's looking at things and figuring out how he can balance needing to be a bit public facing right now, but also wanting to really sort of like not be in people's faces. I think the strategy is going to be to sort of, how like when celebrities have a big scandal and they go away for a couple of months, or they honestly go away to like a treatment facility. I feel like that's the plan that's being sort of put in place by him or his people. But he can't do that right now because he has obligations, some of which are like contractual obligations, which almost it's like not living up to these deals that he has in place and not fulfilling his obligation to certain things could cause even more problems than what's going on for him now. So I think he's really in his head about trying to figure out how to balance both of those things. Okay, I'm going to turn these two cards over together. And I'll do that on this side as well. Okay. Well, this is interesting. So coming from Tati's side, this card really represents sort of what she would be wishing for or hoping for, like her, the desires that she has around this situation that she's in. So the Five of Pentacles reversed, it talks about recovery from a financial loss, which you guys saw, I just shuffled these cards and put them down. I know there'll be skeptics on here, but quite literally what this is indicating is I do feel that Tati did take a rather significant financial hit in some way to her business based on what James did. And this is saying right now, her desire for this is really just to be able to, she really wants this drama to be done so that she can go back and focus on her business and focus on just turning things around and getting things a little bit more stable and back on track there. That's really where she wants to put her attention. Now, coming out in terms of her near future, so, we'll say like the next, month to 2 months, she has a Page of Cups and it's reversed. So page cards, they represent messages. So for me, I also see that as being communication. This card really is sort of about disconnecting from like your own inner intuition about something, and can also represent creative blocks. How I'm going to actually read this is I actually don't see the two of them having any interaction or talking within the next, I would say, 2 months at least. I feel like for her, what she wants to do right now is just throw herself into work. And I don't think she ever thought this would be the result of the video. I don't think that she knew that. And so now she's just wondering if she's going to be able to do what she wants to do and just take a step back and just do the videos that she wants to do. Because now it's almost like what's happened as a result of her video, she almost feels like she needs to address that. It's like the part of her that is still protective of him. It's like it's almost like habit for her when it comes to James. Like she almost feels like she needs to try to do a video and ask people not to, try to stop people from unsubscribing, to try to prevent this from damaging his career more or leading to him like potentially losing, things that generate money for him in terms of deals with other companies. And that's not what she wants to have to do, but it's on her mind, and I think she's really struggling. I think that she has people who are sort of advising her, and they're telling her she needs to just let that video that she did, let that just be her statement. But because this has now taken on a life of its own, she's actually really concerned, and I'm sensing, also upset. I think that she has been watching what's happening and just putting a lot of blame on herself. But there are people who are around her letting her know, like, this isn't her doing. She did what she had to do for herself and what any of us should do in this situation. And I think they're trying to help her see the good that she's done and sort of the conversation that she started. For James, in terms of what he wants, what he desires as this is a really interesting card to come out over here. So the Hierophant this is really about tradition and things that are sort of like institutions, things that are, we have a history of how they've been done, and we follow those things, and we stick to it, basically. And I feel like where James is, in terms of what he wants, is he just wants things to go back to how they were. He just wants everything to go back. And, energetically from this card, it feels very naive, and it feels very like disconnected from the reality of what's actually occurring. I don't think that he has processed fully, the world that we're in today is very different. It's extremely different. And there are so many examples of times when people gathering together, to either get behind a cause or to go against something, they have actually had huge success. You can think about like the Me Too movement. this situation playing out here with Tati and James, it's interesting because I feel like James is thinking of this as being almost like if there was a beef within just like the beauty gurus, right? And they had a little back and forth, but then they worked it out, and that was it. But this has spilled over. There are people who had never heard of Tati before this video that are now subscribing to her and are really sort of impressed with her. This has gone outside of like any specific YouTube communities. There are people who like aren't even that into YouTube that have heard about this. And so I just feel that's what I'm saying. It's like, it feels very naive, his energy right now, in terms of like what he's hoping for, because it's not possible for this will forever change not only like Tati and James, but also pretty much all YouTube influencers are going to have to think now about what they're doing and sort of, they've created these little empires and these businesses and these brands, but they haven't had to do the same sort of thinking about protecting that brand as like large corporations do. And so you're going to see a huge shift. And I think it's a good thing, but I just think that James is unaware of how big this has become, and he's still really holding out that this will just blow over, and I don't see that happening. Now, coming out for his near future, we have the Three of Cups, and it came out upright. Now, this is an auspicious card for him, because this card speaks to celebrations, and it can also point to collaboration and friendships. So I wouldn't be shocked if James figures out a way to either turn this into, something that sort of gives him back control of the story. What I'm getting energetically is a potential for him to write a book. And it would be a situation where, similar to what's happening, if he did write a book, people who are supportive of him would want to buy the book, and people who aren't supportive of him would want to buy the book just to see what it was he said, so that they could then try to like fight against it. So I feel like there are people watching the situation as it's playing out who are looking at within the next month probably approaching him to ask about potentially doing a book deal. So I know there are lots of people out there who are like totally hating on him and want to see him just like brought down, but I feel like he's actually going to have some opportunities that are going to be big opportunities that he would not have had if not for this situation. So I think those cards are done energetically. So we're going to move on to this one. This is okay. So this card is going to basically point to the dynamics between what we talked about on both sides, how those dynamics are going to sort of shape the future. And this would probably be around, let's say, the next like 1 to 3 months between the two of them. So what came out here, we have the Three of Wands reversed. And this really just talks about things not quite clicking. There being, things aren't aligned. There isn't harmony. This is about working by yourself. And I feel like that's really what's going to happen here. I think that both of Tati and James are going to put themselves into work. And I do feel, again, energetically, and going back to what I said at the beginning, I feel that James is actually going to take a break from doing the videos, but he will announce in a video that he's going to be writing a book. And that will give him a reason to need to not do videos and not do public appearances, because he will need to focus on like writing this book and getting it out while this controversy is still happening. That would be my prediction here. Yeah, and they're just, both of them are just going to really be working, and they're not going to address this. They're not going to, it's going to be done for them, even if it keeps going, within, like on YouTube and with the different communities. They're going to be done, and they're just going to throw themselves into work. And, I think they'll both sort of be like watching the other to see like what's going on. But honestly, I feel like both of them are going to come out of this in a way like even stronger brand wise, and just their fan bases will be much more solidified, and they'll also just come out of this with, I think Tati's business is going to really grow because she's going to have all this exposure. I mean, think about like 1 million people in one day have now started following her. Way more people than that have been exposed to her or know her name. And so her business by default is also getting all of this attention onto it. I do feel like James is going to have something that comes his way, potentially like a book deal, that's really going to sort of give him a boost, but also allow him to step away and just sort of like not be in people's face. And that's, sort he will disappear, and then when he does come back, it's going to be attached to something like launching the book. And it's just going to put him back into like the spotlight, but he'll have something else to talk about. And this will have been so far in the past, and Tati will be so far gone from this that people won't ask about it. Like if he's doing interviews, they won't ask about it. He'll be there to talk about the book. And of course, this will be part of what's in the book, but he won't talk about it because we'll have to get the book to read it, right? Okay, last card here. This is what the card says the actual outcome in the future will be. So this could be anywhere from 6 months forward, but it's saying right now, based on the energy, this is what's most likely to occur in terms of this connection between Tati and James. So let's see what it is. Okay, we have the King of Swords. It is reversed. So this I'm shook a little bit over this card. So this card really is about misusing power and manipulation. It also speaks to sort of like I'm not feeling it this way though, but it can just mean the King of Swords is when it's upright, it's just sort of like an outwardly honest, really truthful type of energy. And so sometimes based on what's going on when it's reversed, it just means like, you have more of like an inner truth. I don't feel that energy from this at all. It very, very much is sort of like giving off the energy of, I think that there is going to be, behind the scenes at least, I think both Tati and James, they want to come out of this with something to show for it. And they're both going to really work hard to make sure that this focus and this attention that's on them right now doesn't like go to waste. I think both of them potentially there's potential for both as they're bringing in new people or making decisions and choices. I think that there is, on both sides, there's potential for people who are trying to manipulate them or, do something that's a little bit shady and dishonest. So I'm hoping that the sort of chaos and the, James on one hand is in panic mode because he's losing so much, but then Tati is also sort of in a panic because she's gaining so much focus so quickly. They're both going to be in situations where they're going to have to like potentially bring in additional people or, reach out to a resource that they didn't need before. I'm trying to see if I can see more about that. I mean, I feel like it's sort of like what popped into my head is like, I feel like James is actually going to have like a security detail. Like he's going to have to bring in people for security on a much larger scale than he has before, partially because he's learned a lesson here that he can't use not having security as an excuse for things. And he will need to look like he's learned that lesson. That'll be part of the reason why he will hire this, it's almost like a permanent full-time security detail that will be with him. That's part of it. But also I think that his family, they worry about his safety. And so there's going to be a push for him to always sort of have someone that's with him. But in that situation, they need to be very careful about who it is that they are hiring, who it is that they're bringing on, because people are going to be aware of the situation, and there will be some people who are trying to come in and take advantage of it or try to come in to manipulate something for their own gain. And that's true on Tati's side as well, because that was a shared card. As she's bringing in new advisors for her business, or if her business, is expanding, or, even if there's, like another YouTuber who approaches her as sort of like wanting her to be a mentor, she just has to be very cautious and aware of who it is that she's allowing to come into her life, who it is that she's allowing to be part of those decisions. And I feel like both of them are going to be so caught up in all of this that there's a really high, the energy here is almost like screaming. Both of them have potential here to make really bad choices about the people that they are listening to or allowing into their like inner circles. So I'm hoping that somebody is sort of watching over them, because I think if they are the ones making the decisions ultimately, there's so much emotional energy and there's so much frantic energy around like the potential of all this, and there's so much just attention and focus on both of them right now that they aren't able to sort of think clearly the way that they would need to in order to make these decisions. Okay, so we're almost at half an hour. I tend to end these around this time, but I do just want to grab another deck. And I'm just going to pull 2 cards out, and I'm just going to pull a Tati card and a James card and just talk about what those are. And then I think I'll end this. If whoever watches this, if you guys liked this, let me know in the comments. If you want me to do another one with like specific questions from you guys, then leave your questions in the comments, and I'll go through the comments and pull questions out and do an additional reading if you guys want that. And while you're here, like, subscribe to my channel. Go watch your like own personal zodiac reading. Okay, so that's for Tati. Here we have James. Okay, so this 3 of Cups comes out again. I don't remember exactly where it was. It was right here for James. It's come out again for James. That does tend to happen in situations like this. I'm just saying if there's anything different. I mean, this is what I was saying earlier about seeing him actually having collaborations and celebrations with friends and having things to celebrate. I think this is a double confirmation that he's actually going to spin this into something that is very lucrative for him and does allow him to do a bit of like repair on his image and his brand. It's going to allow him to sort of have something else to talk about, not only in terms of like the topic, but then he wouldn't just be like a YouTuber or a YouTube personality or like a beauty guru or an influencer. Like, he wouldn't be limited to that anymore, because he would also have like a New York Times bestseller. It's that sort of elevation of him and what he's accomplished. And this coming out is just, it's double confirmation that is what's in the cards for him right now. So for those of you who really want to see him like brought down, I don't see that happening. With Tati here, we have the 9 of Swords. This is reversed. I feel like she is just really going to be, it's going to take her a long time to get over this. This card is about really deep-rooted fear and pain that's very, very deep inside. Figuring out how to process that and release that energy. It's almost like an inner anguish. There's a turmoil that's going on inside her about whether or not what she did was fair, whether or not what she did was right, whether there was something else that she could have tried. She will eventually realize that there wasn't, that she had sort of done everything that she could, and that she had really been backed into a corner, and sort of doing the video that she did and saying what she said was really the only thing that she could do in order to protect herself. So I don't see her really like being stuck in this for forever, but it's going to be around for a while. She's really devastated by this. And, you know, I'll just say this again, that she's going to throw herself into work, and that's going to be the only time that she feels like she has relief from sort of this emotional turmoil that she's feeling inside. And so it's going to propel her into just really making some big things happen. And I think that there are things that she's been wanting to do that she just hasn't felt like she's been able to devote time to it. But now she's going to be so focused on work and so focused on sort of setting goals and working through things and having that be something that helps to distract her and makes her feel good too, because she's going to be accomplishing things. I think she's just going to take a lot of those ideas that she's been sitting on and actually start to implement them. So I could see her having like some pretty big growth in terms of, you know, the things that she's doing, you know, with the vitamin brand. I think I wouldn't be shocked to see her add something that is more of a skincare product, an actual topical skincare product that is there would be a tie-in about, you know, the vitamin content or the vitamins that are within this skincare. That would be sort of how it would be still on brand for her. I think that that's something that she has been thinking about and had sort of put it out as being something that was, you know, a goal a bit further down the road. But I think the situation, she's actually going to decide to just go ahead and tackle that now, because she wants to have that sort of weight on her shoulders and that distraction and that demand of work. Like, she's going to really want that right now. So that's going to wrap this one up. I hope whoever watches this, I hope you enjoyed it. I just felt like I should do this, and we'll see what happens. I mean, I think they're both going to come out of this okay. And I think additionally, it's just sort of led to a conversation about YouTube and the influencers that I think needs to happen. I think that was the other reason that Tati decided to say what she said, because, you know, she's been on YouTube for a very long time, and I think she's seeing sort of the changes and how quickly things are changing with YouTube. And I think that you'll start to have more and more conversations that are happening about what's going to be required as YouTube continues to grow and branch out the way that it's doing. You know, I mean, I'm an example. I'm sitting here doing a reading about 2 influencers for people who like to watch YouTube content to watch. That is a brave new world in terms of, you know, not only like professional and financial things, but also just in terms of like being able to protect what you've built and what that requires. And also, you know, someone actually witnessing the potential consequences if you get a little bit too far, you know, down a road that makes you start to lose the connection that you've built with the people who decided to support you. So, if you watched this video all the way through, I would love to hear from you. Just leave me a comment. If you like the video, please like it. Share this video. If you know, actually just thought the reading itself was cool and you want to see just more of those, subscribe to the channel. And yeah, we'll see where this goes. And again, if you guys want me to do an additional reading about this or about anything else, just let me know in the comments what you might want to see me do, and I will absolutely do it. So that's it. Thanks, guys, for joining me, and I hope to see some of you stick around as subscribers.